Hi, good afternoon. Today I'll be talking about another issue that is related to the midterm election, but we will be discussing the foreign relation aspect of the midterm election. So the title of my presentation is Why Do the 2022 midterm elections in the United States matter for the Middle East? First of all, of course, by Middle East, what do you mean by Middle East? Okay, so in this presentation, this brief presentation, the Middle East term refers here only to the key important states for the United States foreign policy in this region. Of course, you cannot talk about the Middle East without talking about Israel. So you start first with Israel, and then you move on to Egypt, and then you move on to Saudi Arabia, and finally the United Arab Emirates. So the Middle East terms refer here to four countries. Those are the four key Arab states. All right. So, I mean, the three key Arab states, the three Arab key states, in addition to Israel. So, Israel, Egypt, Saudi Arabia, and United Arab Emirates. First of all, for Israel, it's not going to really matter too much who will be in control of the United States Congress. Whether the Democrats have managed to maintain their control of the Senate and the House, or the Republicans somehow have managed to take over the control of the House and not the Senate, because I've just listened to the news, and Democrats have succeeded in maintaining the control of the Senate for the next 2 years, which is of course going to make it extremely easy for the Joe Biden presidency. So here, as I said before, that for Israel it's not going to matter much who will be in control of the U.S. Congress, since its close relations and traditional military cooperation with the United States have always been, as I wrote here in my presentation, the backbone of the United States foreign policy for both Democrats and Republicans. As for Sisi, and this is a question, of course, also for Israel, it's not going to make any difference whether it is Republicans or the Democrats who are in control, because both of them are highly committed, traditionally committed to basically protect and promote, of course, Israel national interest in the Middle East and beyond the Middle East as well. But what is going to happen here is that those three key Arab states, Egypt, Saudi Arabia, and United Arab Emirates, it's going to make a difference. All right. So for Sisi regime, for example, Sisi autocratic regime, we cannot talk about Sisi without using this extremely important political adjective, which is autocratic. So for Sisi autocratic regime in Egypt, as well as for Mips is the son of Solomon. Okay, this is a name that we have always used for Mohammed ibn Sulaiman, known as Mips, and then Mohammed ibn Zayed of UAE, known as Mibs. Okay, so the first one was the S, and the last one is with the Z. The outcome of the midterm elections here will certainly determine as well as the nature of the relations with the United States in the next 2 years. How this relationship is going to be? It's going to be a friendly relationship, or it's going to be let's say Iraqi relations. All right, this is going to depend on who's going to be in the charge of the U.S. Congress. Now, from their point of view, from Sisi point of view, and from MIPS point of view, and MIPS point of view, and their political advisor, because Sisi, MIPS, and MIPS don't know really much more about what's happening in United States. It is their political advisors who are telling them that it is in your best self-interest to have a Republican Congress, because the Republican Congress is going to be more friendly and is going to be more willing to cooperate with all of you. All right, so that's why I'm saying that it's going to determine the nature of this relationship in the next 2 years. Moreover, the results of the midterm elections will determine also even the political future of their autocratic regimes. Are they going to stay, or are they going to go? Especially with the case of Sisi, who has been facing over the last 12 months a very stiff opposition, either from within the key political institution in Egypt, which is the military institution, in addition to also the state intelligence agencies in Egypt as well, and also the overseas opposition as well. So now let's move on to the next point here. So it is no secret, as I said, that all of these three autocratic regimes, this is Sisi, MIPS, and MIBS, would like to see the Republicans and not Democrats in charge of the U.S. Congress. They view the Republicans as their allies. They view Republicans as their friends, and probably some of you, many of you probably will remember what happened when the former President Donald Trump was in power. They were so happy, okay, and even Donald Trump himself has called this the Sisi of Egypt, he has called him his most favorite dictator. So the guy was so happy in Egypt, and he was able to do what? He was able to do almost everything that is written in the political dictionary of autocracy without any fear of being punished or penalized by the United States. All right, and this because he knows that there is someone, the man who's sitting right there in the White House, he is his buffer zone. He's the one who's going to protect him, and even Donald Trump himself has played a key role in protecting the MIPS from the international criticism and from the United States criticism within the United States Congress after the assassination. I shouldn't say assassination, I should say the bloody slaughter of Jamal Khashoggi at the Saudi consulate in Istanbul. So from their point of view, of course, based on their previous experience in dealing with Republicans especially under the leadership of the former President Donald Trump, they have come up with this conclusion that it is, which is a valid conclusion to a great extent, that it is Donald Trump, I mean not Donald Trump in this case, but it is the Republicans who are going to protect us, who are going to promote our interest, and we are ready to do whatever the Republicans want us to do. So Republicans, on the one hand, they view these three guys, I shouldn't say guys, I should say dictators, these three dictators, Sisi, MIPS, and NIBS, they see them as the vanguards of the United States interest in the Middle East, which basically are centered around the so-called fighting terrorism, and of course this is going to take forever if you're going to talk about the definition of terrorism. What do you mean by terrorism? You're talking about individual terrorism. What about the state terrorism? What about the Sisi terrorism? What about MIPS terrorism? What about MIBS terrorism against Yemen, for example? What about Sisi terrorism, for example, against political prisoners in Egypt? If the United Nations, for example, is going to protect Sisi or is going to support Sisi and the United States Congress, because he is their guy in Egypt or in Cairo who is fighting this war on terrorism, but who's going to protect those innocent civilians who have been caught in this fire, this so-called war of terrorism? These are very big questions that need to be answered, but not here now. And anyhow, so let's go back here again to what I'm saying. So in the view of these three autocratic regimes, Sisi, MIPS, all right, I call them the axis of evil or the axis of autocracy in the Middle East. Those are the founding fathers. If autocracy has a founding fathers, the modern, not modern even, we're gonna call it contemporary autocracy has a founding fathers. Definitely the founding fathers of the 21st century autocracy in the Middle East would be Sisi of Egypt, MIPS of Saudi Arabia, and MIBS of UAE. All right, and the Republicans have no problem with the autocratic face of these three brutal regimes. So it is no secret that all of these three autocratic regimes would like to see the Republicans or not Democrats in charge of the U.S. Congress. That's what I wrote. In the view of these three autocratic regimes, a Republican Congress will be less critical of the brutal violations of human rights in Egypt, Saudi Arabia, and UAE. And all of these three countries, you have tens of thousands, without any exaggeration. That would be that would be probably the modest, the biggest modest estimation of the current numbers of political prisoners in these three countries. We talk about tens of thousands, men and women, all right, who have nothing to do with politics, who have never even studied even introduction to political science in their life, and even doesn't know the difference between British democracy versus American democracy. But basically, they were arrested, and of course, because of the absence of the rule of law, because of the absence of democracy, because the absence of democracy leads to the absence of the rule of law, and therefore, of course, with also the rise of this culture, the culture of war and terrorism, which has basically overlapped people's human rights. So anyhow, I'm going far away here, but let me just go back again. So that's what I'm saying, that Republican Congress would be less critical of the brutal violation of human rights in Egypt, Saudi Arabia, and UAE from their point of view. Furthermore, a Republican Congress would be more willing. I'm not going to say Congress anymore after Republicans have failed to win the Senate, so it is only House right now. So furthermore, Republican House would be more willing than a House controlled by Democrats to interact, as I said at the beginning, with these three autocratic regimes without any regard to the number of political prisoners who have been already tortured, killed in Sisi, MIBS, and MIPS detention centers. All right. Even for Sisi, for example, he is building, I believe, three. He is building three of the biggest detention centers on the whole world. He's building them right there out there in the Sahara Desert. It's like a complex. Okay, complex that is made out of a dozen of prisons. It looks like he is getting ready to imprison the 103 million Egyptians in these prisons. All right, and of course he's so happy, especially after this late visit by President Joe Biden. Especially he did not really bring up the issue of human rights, and he did not show him, as we say, the red eye or the black eye. He was so friendly with him, and he was joking with him. Okay, and someone will wonder, for example, how did they manage to communicate with each other? Because Joe Biden speaks English, Sisi doesn't speak in English, doesn't speak even any Arabic. So, but how does it come that they were laughing? Laughing for what? I mean, I don't understand. So probably he was saying something in English, President Joe Biden, and this Sisi was saying something else in Arabic. And there was no translator or interpreter sitting next to them. But anyhow, this is this is very funny. Let's go back here to the next point. The next point. So Republican Congress may incite MIBS for reviving. That's what's going to happen. That's what's going to happen probably. That's what MIBS of UEE believes that it may happen if the Republicans manage to win the House. This is probably going to revive MIBS colonial dreams of conquering Yemen. A Republican House is most likely to turn its eyes away from the political oppression, financial corruption, and confiscation of citizens' natural rights in Egypt, Saudi Arabia, and UAE. In the end, it remains to be seen how Republican House will react if the Egyptian, for example, succeed in the next few days, next few months, next summer, for example, and succeeded in what? Succeeded either through a revolution, all right, or a mass demonstrations somehow, or economic fallout of Egypt, or economic collapse of the Egyptian economy, or through a military coup. We may see a coup, a second coup in Egypt. Why not? Because there are so many similarities between Egypt and Pakistan. So this is probably will be the tradition of a changing political regimes in Egypt. It will be done violently. It will be done through what? Through military coup, in overthrowing their most favorite dictator in Egypt. Will the Republican House, for example, move and support the new political regime? Yes or no? Okay. Moreover, for example, how Republican House will act if an internal political military conflict, and it's going to happen, most likely 90% is going to happen, erupts between the crown prince known as MIPS and Saudi Arabia on the one hand, his rivals, the other members of the royal family, and Saudi Arabia on the other hand, with the death of the current ruler, Salman ibn Saud. So let's wait and see what's going to happen. There are so many variables here, political variables, independent, that will determine the future political behavior of the House. Thank you very much, and until I see you next time, take care of yourself and have a good day. Thank you.